You are standing in a room full of people. Maybe it is a party. Maybe it is a work event. Maybe it is just a busy street on a Saturday afternoon. And somewhere around the 45-minute mark, something shifts. You did not decide to check out. You did not choose to go quiet. But you can feel it happening. The words come slower. The smiles take more effort. You start looking for the exit not because anything is wrong, but because something inside you is simply done. Most people assume this is shyness, or anxiety, or some personal flaw that more confident people do not have. But what is actually happening has nothing to do with confidence. It is happening inside the architecture of your brain, and it is happening for very specific reasons. Your brain does not experience a crowd the way your eyes do. Your eyes see a room full of people. Your brain sees a room full of problems to solve. Every face is a calculation. Every voice is a signal to track. Every person who might look at you, speak to you, or move towards you is a variable your nervous system is quietly preparing for. You are not just standing in a room. You are running a continuous background program that is monitoring, predicting, and responding to dozens of people simultaneously. And that program is expensive. Neuroscientist Michael Graziano at Princeton has studied how the brain maps the space around the body, what he calls peripersonal space. This is the invisible buffer zone your brain maintains around you at all times, a kind of protective bubble your nervous system tracks constantly. In an empty room, that system runs quietly. In a crowded room, it fires on overdrive. Every person who enters your peripersonal space triggers a low-level threat assessment. Not because they are dangerous, but because your brain evolved in a world where something entering your personal space often was. Your ancestors lived in a world where a crowd was rare and almost always significant. A large group gathering meant one of two things: a feast or a fight. Your nervous system inherited that logic. So when you walk into a party, your amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, does not know it is a party. It knows there are a lot of bodies in a small space, and it responds accordingly, flooding your system with low-level alertness that never quite turns off for as long as you stay in the room. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar found that the human brain is wired to manage meaningful relationships with roughly 150 people. Beyond that, the social math breaks down. But modern life does not stop at 150. A conference, a festival, a city block can put you within visual range of thousands. Your brain is doing math it was never built to finish. And like any system running a calculation it cannot complete, it starts to slow down. There is also something researchers call directed attention fatigue. Psychologists Rachel and Stephen Kaplan spent decades studying how mental focus depletes in demanding environments. Crowds demand constant directed attention. You cannot let your mind wander. You cannot stop scanning. Every moment in a dense social environment is a moment your prefrontal cortex is working, filtering noise, managing responses, suppressing impulses. That is the part of your brain responsible for everything you consider civilized behavior. And it runs on a finite fuel supply. When that fuel runs low, the shutdown you feel is not a personality trait. It is a physiological event. The prefrontal cortex begins to underperform. Decision-making slows. Words become harder to find. Emotional regulation gets thinner. You become quieter not because you have nothing to say, but because the part of your brain that finds words and shapes them into sentences is running on empty. This is why you can walk into a party feeling fine and leave feeling hollowed out. This is why an afternoon in a crowded city can exhaust you more than a day of physical labor. This is why the silence of an empty room after a long social event does not feel like loneliness. It feels like relief. Your brain just ran a marathon you never signed up for. Every face was a finish line it never reached. And the quiet you are craving is not emptiness. It is the sound of your nervous system finally getting to rest. If this earned a few minutes of your attention, imagine what the next video might do. Subscribe and become part of a community.